Everyone does it.
Oh, okay. By the way, it started to record.
Alright, so it's officially recording.
It's officially recording right now.
What's
Okay.
up, everybody?
What's up? It's your boys.
It's your
no,
boy.
it's not.
What a party here. Add me on Xbox.
Don't tell them that, because.
I regret everything.
Alright, so what are we talking about?
I don't know. You're the one who was bringing up
Oh, yeah,
questions.
that's right. We're talking about the kneeling thing.
The kneeling thing?
Yeah, the
Oh,
kneeling
with the
during the
flag.
national anthem.
Okay.
Oh, we're going that way.
Oh, yeah, we're starting off with that, yeah. So I guess each one of us can just kind of explain how we feel about it, or if someone says something, you don't have to say the same exact
When
thing.
a symbol, in and of itself, is more important than what the symbol represents, and people forget what it represents, then people are just doing, like, it becomes a love of and patriotism that exceeds what the actual representation of the country is supposed to be about and what the most important detail is. People are angry that they're kneeling to the flag, yet attributing other reasons for it without understanding what the core reason is.
Mm-hmm.
You're kneeling to the flag. You must hate the troops. What? No. Can you kneel to the flag and love the troops? If the answer is yes, then rethink your reason for objecting to the protest.
For those of you who don't know, and I can't.
Don't say my real name.
No. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, a bunch of NFL players ended up kneeling for the national anthem over the past, what was it, like 2 weeks?
Well, more than a couple of NFL players.
Yeah, I mean,
kneeled.
like now.
A couple
It's been
of-
going on. It's been going on for a while. It's
Well,
just,
it was
Colin Kaepernick, whatever,
and
started
some,
it.
and then some other players were doing
Yeah.
it, and then it just multiple teams now are doing it, and like the whole teams are
Well,
doing
it was
now. That's
also
why
it was
branched out so
also
much more.
the fact that and I don't have the actual tweet, but whatever Trump said was like called them some.
Let's back up. Let's back up. One, they were protesting because of Black Lives Matter. Why were they protesting because of Black Lives Matter? Because of the recent I shouldn't say recent. I say the increasing volume of Black lives that were taking in, whether it's car stop, traffic violations and other reasons. Were some legit? Yes. Were some not? No. So you protest because you want to bring attention to it. Is that effective? You be the judge. The other part of it is Trump said his thing about how it was stupid and they're not American. So in response, almost every NFL player locked arms with every other NFL player to support the ones who were protesting, which Trump thought was for him. Like, oh, look, they're supporting what I'm saying. No, they're supporting the ones who are kneeling. And then everybody got pissed off. Oh, here comes trouble.
Oh, here comes the cavalry.
Hello.
No copyrighted music.
Here we go.
All right, we're back. There's a little bit of an interruption, but
So at the end of the day, people should just do what the fuck they want and get out of the face of other people.
yeah, my standpoint on it is pretty similar. Where it's just like, man, and they use the argument like, oh well soldiers are angry. I'm like, no. What did they fight for? They fought for that flag to represent. Hey, you can do that shit. Like. And it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, neither does a lot of things. But, again, like he said, I think people should just do what they want.
People judge others based on what they do, and people judge themselves based on what they intended to do.
Real facts.
Real facts? It's approved. Isaiah said real facts. Stop talking to me.
All right.
Not you. These people.
Fine. Jeez.
Bitch.
What? No, it's I shouldn't get too mad.
All right. What's your next question?
So I actually have a question from somebody.
Oh, from somebody?
Yeah, from somebody that
Who is this?
watches.
Who is this somebody?
Well,
One of your 3 listeners?
3 listeners. Listen, I got 3,000 followers. So.
How many of them are you under fake accounts?
2,997. If you want to
True.
get technical, okay.
Ooh, is this really body armor?
What? Why are you shopping for body armor?
It
Is
just
there
came up on the
something- is there
Facebook wish thing. Look at
Is
that.
there something I should know? That means you've been frequenting body armor. Are you
No.
planning an attack?
I bought a Warhammer.
He's ready for war.
Yeah. And the question was, Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat? Are you serious?
I am a huge fan of Mortal Kombat, so I will choose Mortal Kombat.
Mortal
But we do
Kombat.
need someone to play devil's advocate if you play Street Fighter.
I choose Injustice.
Injustice
But
is made
that's-
by the people that make
yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
All right, enough said.
So, yeah, Mortal Kombat.
But in Street,
Wait, like Street Fighter is like
just like Street Fighter as like, you know, just the-
Hayugen.
yeah,
Hadouken.
Ryu, Ken.
Ryu.
Ryu and Ken, they just annoyed me.
All right, so that's settled. So Mortal
Better
Kombat
rivalry is Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
Yeah, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, I felt like were intimidating
Exactly.
and like, I wouldn't want to fight this guy.
Yeah.
Where Ryu, who could still probably kick my ass, 'cause he's a black belt, or is
Yeah.
he a black belt?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
'cause
He's got a
I
red
think-
belt.
Yes, he's a
Yeah,
red
red
belt,
belt.
so I don't know what that means. But he could probably kick my ass, but he doesn't look like he could kick my ass. So from a visual perspective, like from a D&D perspective, the charisma's low,
Right.
right? Because I'm not buying it. But
You know, some Street Fighter fans gonna get really pissed off and be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Actually, he's a 9th degree black belt."
that's okay.
Ninth degree.
He's
and
allowed.
he could kick Scorpion's ass. I'm like, Scorpion's
Yeah,
undead. He'd kick the shit out of
exactly.
Ryu.
That person, that straw man person that you just
Yeah.
fabricated,
Yeah.
has every right to be angry at me for my lack of knowledge of Street Fighter.
Actually, Ken trained under
Well, I'm
like.
sure he did. But you know what? When I look at the screen, I go.
Another one. Hey, this one's stupid. I mean, it's not
I need
stupid.
the 2 words.
I mean, it's not like, but like, it's pretty much just like a broad question about fast food places, and it was just like, what out of like, I guess like the top 4, which I guess would be Wendy's, Burger King. They're not like top list,
Yeah,
but you know the
well,
biggest
what are the
names
4?
are,
And I'll pick.
Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's.
Wendy's.
Wendy's number
Wendy's hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wendy's.
Why?
Because you're eating a real burger.
Yeah. Like, that's
Like you
not
feel like
frozen.
somebody took chopped meat and made it into a patty
Yeah.
and then put it on a grill.
And
Okay.
they just put like so much cheese, and I like that. Like, on the baconator, on the baconator, it's like it's just so good.
You got the munchies or something?
Yo, it's the cheese.
No, but then that's the first part. The second part is so McDonald's. The McDonald's is just, they say flat grill, whatever. It's like that
Like a
thing's
flat
been
top,
in the bin.
yeah.
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 But then they go, ooh, the Burger King flame broiled, right?
Mhm.
Now, all these Burger Kings, you could see them making your burger. You can
Mhm.
actually watch them. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a burger come off of a flame broiled grill and put into your bun?
I
Or
remember-
does it come out of a Tupperware bin?
I remember in Woodbridge Mall.
Were we there and you just didn't tell me?
No,
Thanks
no.
for that.
No. This was a while ago.
I was still friends with you a while ago.
No, I'm pretty sure you were there.
Okay, that's what I asked.
Wow.
It's on record. All right.
And
Mr.
then, like-
Eats 4 gummy bears.
Can you do some kind of effect where we could go back in time a couple of seconds and play you
Yeah.
asking the question right
Yeah.
now?
And now we're back.
And then,
So
like-
like you just heard.
They just like
See,
put
I'm
the-
adding effects to your show.
They just put the burger in the microwave. Like that's just not grilled. Like,
Oh my god, yeah.
You know what you call that story? Long staircase, no door.
yeah.
It's
Sorry,
like it's
that
like
was a good one.
it's like the whole you know, not to reference other YouTube channels, but like the whole Game Grumps like Aaron thing where he was talking about Subway.
Who's Game Grumps?
Yeah, when he was talking about Subway and
I
how
don't
he
know
just
Game Grumps.
oh yeah, I only know us. Or as Adam says, when we go to PAX East, the highlight is us. Everything else is just there.
Oh my God.
So, I bet this is good words to live by.
Okay, what's your next question?
Hold on, I gotta open the thing.
This is dead air.
It's dead air. You could talk about anything. Do you have a debate?
Do I have a debate?
Do you have a debate on anything?
I'm easy going.
You're easy going. Nice. We talked about. Oh, that was off air. Are we aliens? And
As I said earlier, there's two theories on this.
okay.
One is to other planets were aliens,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is if the asteroid hit Mars when Mars had life, if Mars had life, and then crashed into Earth, then the first generation would be aliens, and the second generation would be indigenous.
Hmm. What is the best pizza topping?
Anchovies.
No.
Oh my God.
God.
No,
Please tell them you were kidding. Like,
I don't know. I'm not. You know what I love?
what?
I don't care what Maddox says. I don't know if you've ever heard of Maddox.
No.
He's no one now.
Oh, so he's probably watching.
No, he. Long story.
You start Twitter beef now.
Yeah. Pepperoni. I love pepperoni. I know it's a
Pepperoni.
fake meat that's created specifically for this purpose, like because pepperoni means pepper, which that whole bit. I think it's delicious on a pizza. However, if I can't have pepperoni, I want bacon.
Oh, I
Mm.
love bacon on pizza.
You know what I ask for, and this is just because I'm a heat fiend. Jalapenos on pizza is probably one of the best toppings to put on pizza.
You're into heat. You're into like hot sauces and stuff.
Yeah, I am.
I didn't know that about
Oh, you didn't know?
No.
Okay.
Sriracha.
Sriracha,
What's
I have
that?
on the ready.
What's sriracha?
Sriracha on pizza is really good.
Never heard of
So to veer off into something else, what is the weirdest food thing that you do that like other people would be like, ugh,
it.
Mix hot dogs with macaroni and cheese.
that's not weird.
Does
was
this
up
count? Does this count? It's a bit of a story.
Okay, that
Um,
works.
I went to Woodstock 2 and 3.
Okay.
At Woodstock 2, me and my wife, because I don't want to give names. I don't want this to impact my professional career.
Why?
Went to get these roast beef sandwiches that had mayonnaise.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the sandwiches in my hand, and we were sitting down on the grass, and I kind of did this thing where I was like trying to sit down, but like without using my hands.
Mm-hmm.
So as I went down, my hand hit my foot. Now this is relevant later. I noticed that from my sandwich on my hand, there was mayonnaise coming out of the sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
So I licked the mayonnaise off my hand and handed my wife her sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "What did you just lick off your hand?" I said, "Mayonnaise." And she goes, "Well, my mayonnaise came in a packet." So I don't know. I don't know what I stepped
Oh
in,
my God.
nor do I know what I ingested.
This was a conversation. Like, what's the weirdest? Whatever it was, it didn't taste bad.
Well, I ate something off my shoe,
Okay.
and it wasn't that bad.
Something I get a lot and like probably lose subscribers over this actually is back in the day I switched
Which
it-
was a Wednesday.
which was
Dane
when,
Cook
yeah,
joke.
yeah.
Who?
Who? You know what I hate? When I eat ice cream, it's like I'll do that.
I gotta go on MySpace real quick.
So, what was I gonna say? Oh, so
You know what you hate?
no. So I switched it to hot sauce, but like I do with everything now.
Yeah.
But I used to really enjoy ketchup, and I put ketchup in my macaroni and cheese, and people hate me for it. Like literally, I posted a thing to Facebook once, and it was like, "Am I the only one to do this?" And people were like, "The only one who supported me was Adam," and he was like, "Dude, it's good." And then like everyone was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you guys?"
This goes back to the flag conversation. Who gives a shit? like you want to put ketchup in your mac and cheese?
So it comes full
Land
circle.
of the free, home of the brave.
Mac
Just enjoy it.
and cheese and ketchup. We're making t-shirts.
Enjoy it. Who
Yeah.
cares? You're not hurting anybody.
Yeah, but hot sauce and mac and cheese is really good too.
I think it's disgusting, and you're a heathen.
What? Why would I be a heathen?
You can do it. You can do it. I don't agree. with you,
My
but
argument was always like, but then again, and then I realized that people don't eat grilled cheeses with ketchup.
I
And
used to eat it with tomato soup. But...
I eat grilled cheese with ketchup. And Marilyn Manson did an interview. I think it was with who's the dude that looks like he's about to die, Larry King. So
I was gonna say Iggy Pop.
so we did an interview. And he goes, "What's your favorite food?" And he said, "A grilled cheese sandwich." He goes, "It's even better if you dip it in ketchup." And I was like, "That's all the validation I need." So I was like, my validation for the mac and cheese was like, "Oh, it's like grilled cheese and ketchup." And people were like, "That's weird too." So I was like, you know what? I can't win. So
pasta and ketchup, like.
it's got cheese on it though.
But
But what is pasta? It's just wheat.
But still, like it just doesn't seem like a mix.
Well, ketchup is tomatoes with sugar.
Yeah, like pasta shouldn't
So if
have
you-
like sugar. Like you shouldn't.
But it's
Well-
a carb, and the starch turns to sugar.
I
in
mean,
your
once it's
body.
all in your stomach, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah, it all goes in the same place, I guess.
Your mouth.
in the mouth, the mouth.
How'd that mouth do?
What?
All right, ask a question that I have interest in.
All right. Are ghosts real?
No.
Okay. Explain.
The larger the claim, the bigger the amount of evidence is required to prove said claim. I do not have to prove a negative. You need to prove to me that ghosts exist. I don't need to prove to you that ghosts don't exist. Face.
I don't know. I think. Listen, it's far fetched, but there's people that believe in crazier things. So why not?
Oh, that's the reason.
like why not? I mean, like I like to take the cool things, but that was like when I learned about Greek mythology in 7th grade. I was like, well, how is this different from Catholicism? And
It's not.
and then I was like, cool. I'm just gonna believe this thing because it's cool. And then I was like, that way, if I ever have kids, they're gonna have more interesting stories. So...
Colonialism, imperialism, and television is why Jesus still has traction.
This is getting posted, you know. There's gonna be a lot of people that love us, and a lot of people like, you're all going to hell.
There's far more.
It's that D&D. It's been tampering your mind.
There's far more people who believe in religions other than Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
So the egos of people who think that Catholicism is accurate because so many people worship it. Well, if it's a numbers game. And then you go this far. Let's say Catholicism is 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's 100,000% right.
That's a lot of percent.
And you have to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior to go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you get a child who's born in Asia or the Middle East who's taught definitively that Muhammad is the prophet of Allah and that's the only religion.
Mm-hmm.
That kid's going to hell. I say, if God exists, if Jesus is real, come down now when we have people with smartphones and could record you and you could say definitively, look, I'm giving you one last chance. Look, I just made the Atlantic Ocean wine. Look, watch. It's wine now. I'm here. I'm real. If you believe in me, you go to heaven. As opposed to showing up 2,000 years ago and doing some questionable things that were only documented as miracles 150 years after he had already died.
You get into some deep water.
I don't believe the news, dude. There's news articles that I have been a part of, some involving your family. That I was like, half this story's wrong.
You mean
I'm
like
gonna believe a 2,000-year-old book?
You can laugh.
I was like, that's not.
Why? You think your mom's gonna be like, I said.
I'm looking out. I was like, no, that's not what happened. That's not the name of the dog. That's not this person. No. I go, all right, this was literally written by somebody who talked to us 15 minutes ago.
They're like, got it. Got the scoop.
It's just a story.
Exactly.
You know what? I think, again, I'm like, there's so many things to believe. Like, it's the same. Like, we literally have a picture of Jesus, but it's the one from Jay and Silent Bob, and he's, like, pointing. And, like, I feel like that's my Jesus. That's Jesus I want to see.
I made a deal with my wife that I would not contaminate my daughter's brain with my atheistic beliefs until she asked me about them.
Oh, okay.
So we got religious things here, even though I think it's a crock of shit.
But that's also the family thing, the family that you're in.
Well. Think about this conversation. So one time, me and my daughter, again, I'm not saying names, we're at Dunkin' Donuts. We're sitting there, and she goes to me. She goes, who, like, where did God come from? Like, who's God's parents? Mm-hmm. And I go, you know what? That's a question for your grandmother and your mother. So we get in the car, and she falls asleep in the back seat. And I dial up my wife, and I put her on speakerphones. You know, the kid's sleeping, and I say, hey, you got a couple of questions coming your way. We made our deal. I wouldn't talk religion. You have to answer these. Well, what question? She goes, I go, who's God's parents? So she goes, well, isn't that like Mary and Joseph or something? I go, well, no, that's Jesus's, not God's. She's more questioning the creation of God. Like, where did God come from? Right? The advocation of religion is that, that's not even a word, but the religion advocates that you can't create something out of nothing, but God's eternal, so that's kind of weird. So if you believe one, how do you believe the other? Whatever. So she goes, oh, isn't that, I go, that's Jesus you're talking about. She's like, yeah, that whole virgin birth thing, I'm not really buying it. I go, that's the foundation of your religion that you... If you're not buying that, then it's all downhill from there. She's like, oh, Mary just wanted to get away with something. I go, hey, if that's what you believe, man.
She's just trying to get away with something. Yeah, God did it.
Yeah, but she's like, oh, God.
It's like, have you ever seen the picture of, like, the dude that invented daylight? It was like, I guess it was a meme, but it was like, guy shows up late to work, like an hour late, and boss is like, where were you? And it's like, guy who was about to invent daylight savings time. Oh, you haven't heard?
Well, what happened at work today was a whole bunch of people were trying to convince me that chipmunks have a language. which I said, all I said that started the whole onslaught of people attacking me was, I'd like to see the science on that. Not, no, they don't. I'd like to see the signs. You're like, why can't you just believe me? I go, because you're making an outrageous claim. And then he says, all right, well, let's look up the definition. I go, well, he's like, chipmunks communicate. I go, I'm not saying chipmunks don't communicate. I use an example of when I put the clown outside the kid's room, and then when she came, I said, oh, come down, I got ice cream. And the clown, she opened the door, clown was there, I go, that's not a language. That's a scream. That's communication without.
Mm-hmm.
So he looked up the word, language.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the definition was like human communication. I was like, human. Right there in the definition, human. Then he went down, well, it's a system of communication, like body language. I go, all right, now you're pushing it. You're just ignoring the human one. So somebody came up and they go, well, chipmunks could talk, and they turn around and they said something about like, because God said it can. And I was like, you know what? If you people are offended by the fact that I won't accept your stupid logic that chipmunks don't have a language, you don't want to hear my thoughts on God. They're like, how could you not believe? They go, and I was like,
if you don't believe, you don't receive.
Well, no, it was one of those things where I was saying it's
Yeah.
tied to the size of their brains and their capacity. Well, ants think like, oh, like ignoring all things about instinct and pheromones and genetic, and I was even trying to get into the notion that babies know what smiles are because it's genetically encoded, it's recognizable, nope, it was God. Like, all right, so, and then they started making chipmunk and guinea pig sounds at me. Like this is how a chipmunk talks.
Where do you work?
I'm not telling you where I work. I won't tell you my name. I'm not gonna tell you where I work.
But like your boss comes
No,
down
it
like
was coworkers. It was
I know,
coworkers.
but like your boss comes down like, oh, do you got the so and so?
Yeah.
They're in
Did somebody
harvesting nuts from the
then
break
people were
room.
like emailing me pictures of squirrels and chipmunks. So my boss walks by and I said, I need my seat changed.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
He laughed at me because he's a Patriots fan, and as he walked away, I said, you know what? I was going to say good luck this weekend for your team, but I can't be that dishonest. I hope they lose. So
That's a whole nother thing.
my networking skills have a lot to be desired.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
I don't kiss ass, so
Especially, I don't even want to talk football
Yeah,
because
no. Because your team sucks as bad as my team sucks.
Actually, your team won a game. So.
I know. That's why I am.
So we
We're
suck.
0-3.
Yeah, but you're the Saints.
What does that mean?
You didn't have a bunch of hype going into the season, like, yo, this team's going to the Super
yeah,
Bowl.
sure.
Like, literally, you just get my hopes up for nothing.
Well,
Like,
that's the problem. Your teams have won in the past, so you know what victory tastes like. And now that it's being denied.
Not so much the Saints. I could see the Giants.
Well,
winning
did
more.
the Saints make it to the
They
Super
only
Bowl?
win like one.
one after the Giants, because I was in
Yeah.
sixth
They
grade.
didn't win that. They didn't win
Yeah,
that.
they did.
They
Yeah,
won
they
that.
did.
All right. So what are you saying? No. I'm
He's a Jets fan. He hasn't won a Super Bowl since Super
the
Bowl
last
3.
time the Jets won the
40
Super
years
Bowl,
ago.
I wasn't even born.
Yikes.
What, was
it was
it 40
name
years
it.
ago?
It
Oh
was
my god.
69. It
I'm
was the
stupid.
same year we landed on the moon. And yes, we landed on the moon. Shut up. Not only did we go to the moon once, we went there like 11 times.
I think it's more
Shut up.
questionable that the Jets won a Super Bowl than we landed on the moon. And he's walking away.
To get Aqua.
That
That was for our diversity audience.
Yeah. So when it comes to the Saints, I remember that because I remember picking my team because it was you have a very weird story on how you picked your team, but I guess it kind of plays into the whole thing. But I was what did I start out as? I think I started
Child?
as no. Well, I did start out as a child, but I would play Madden with my dad, and the only team I could beat him with was the Packers. So I was like, fuck it, I'm a Packers fan because that's the only team I could beat. But then I got specific to the player. So I can't think of his name, Javon Walker, was this no-name wide receiver that in one of the Maddens I would throw to, he would catch everything. So I was like, I don't care what team this man is on. I didn't understand he was not the best wide receiver. So he got hot.
But he was for your team
But
on Madden.
in Madden. I don't know about real life because Madden does that sometimes. But so then he jumped to the Raiders. And I was cool with the Raiders because I like their colors. Like, I still enjoy the Raiders. And then I guess he ended up falling off somewhere. And then just, I couldn't ever find him again. Like, I remember going into a jersey shop and asking for Javon Walker. And they were like, who?
Really? Who the hell's that?
Hopefully through this podcast I meet Javon Walker. Because, like, that's... I assume...
You didn't hear he died last year.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It'd be so sad. Now I actually you're gonna look it up if he's dead or not.
Do you use your real names on this podcast?
Yeah.
Isaiah, how do you spell Javon? Because that doesn't sound like a white sentence name.
Javon, it's like Javon. I assume.
I assure you, I am less racist than
Isaiah
is.
Isaiah's the most racist person I've ever met.
Oh my God.
What? Is he dead?
It just...
He went to jail?
Right? That was what you thought initially? Like, that looked like...
I said he fell off. I don't know what happened to him. It'll say he played for the Packers.
Javon Leaf Walker is a former American football wide receiver. He was
drafted by the Green Bay Packers, 20th overall. Oh, he also played for the Broncos. Maybe it was the Broncos. I hate the Broncos, though. I don't think... Maybe when he went to the Broncos, I was like, nah, that's too much of a commitment.
Number 84.
Yeah, and then Raiders. Yeah, because that's when I stopped. Because I remember the initial point where I stopped, and I was like... I think I was about to go into middle school, and I was like, I need to pick a team. So obviously, I knew football because I had played. So, I knew the game, but I didn't know players specifically enough to where I had, loyalties. So I was like, but for some reason I knew I didn't like the Jets. I just never liked the Eagles. I don't think it's the green. I just was just like, eh. The Cowboys annoyed me. And I think it was just I had bad experiences with certain fans. So I was a Saints fan. And it was actually the year they went to the Super Bowl. So I was a Saints fan the year you became a Saints fan. Mm-hmm. And I transferred to the Giants because I was like, you know what? I like the Saints, but... I'm typical to the I'm loyal to the Giants based on my dad and more the fact that they're the home team and something about that and shit, and I just couldn't. So I became a Giants fan after the Saints won the Super Bowl, which was weird because I could have just rode that out and been like, yo, my team won the Super Bowl. Yeah. But that's how I knew because I was like, wow, the team I thought I liked just won the Super Bowl and I don't feel anything. Mm-hmm. But it was cool because we had a friend. We're not going to drop names just in case, who was a Vikings fan. And he, that friend. Yeah, that friend. And he was so hyped because they had made it to the championship. I think Favre was their quarterback. Yeah. And the Saints beat him. And that's actually how Isaiah became a Saints fan, if I remember correctly.
It is.
Because he was like, I'm going to cheer for the team that beats your team in the championship. Mm-hmm. And then he just stayed a Saints fan because he liked Drew Brees.
Just after 7 a.m. on June 16, 2008, Walker was found unconscious in Las Vegas, Nevada on a street just off the Las Vegas Strip. The previous evening, he had been at Body English, a nightclub at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas, and left approximately 5 a.m. the following morning. After being found unconscious, Walker was taken to a local hospital with what police describe as significant injuries, including a concussion. He was listed in fair condition and released from the hospital on June 18th. Police say Walker was the victim of an apparent robbery as a large amount of cash and some jewelry were taken from him. Police arrested 2 suspects, one in late June, Arfat Fidel, and the other in July. On July 7, 2010, Deshaun Lamont Thomas, an 11-time convicted felon, was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for his part in the crime. Allegedly.
Mm.
There you go.
So he's still alive?
He looks like he's still alive.
Nice. So Javon, if you're out there...
Well, it looks like he was playing...
Get me your Raiders jersey.
It looks like he was on the Vikings as off-season and or practice squad member only in 2010.
Mm. Yeah, because I assume... Was I in 6th grade? when the Saints won the Super Bowl?
2010?
No, Saints didn't win in 2010. I know I was in 7th grade, 2009.
It was Brett Favre's last year.
Like, I remember Favre. He retired like 25 times. But whatever, football talk. So, did you just have the typical Jets fan story, or do you actually have a story of how you became a Jets fan?
My grandfather used to watch the Jets, and I used to watch the Jets with him. And then back in the day, which was a Wednesday, Dane Cook, Kenny O'Brien was the quarterback, and my memories, and none of this could be factual, but I just recall the Jets always being up in the third quarter and down in the fourth. And that's when my acceptance of my misery as being a fan of theirs was solidified. But I never gave up on them. And, I always say it's very easy being a fan of a team that wins.
Well,
takes dedication.
Up until like 2007, like the Giants hadn't won since the early 90s. So
but then
and then
you know what? The Giants beat the Patriots at the Super Bowl
when the Patriots were 18-0. Yeah,
you got the. You know what? That's the ultimate FU. There you go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, you're 18-0. We're gonna defeat your shutout, Mr. Goats.
Yeah, Mr. Goat.
If you never,
is that what you just said?
If you never win if you never even get to the playoffs for the rest of your time as a Giants fan, you still have that. You say, you know what? They were 18-0, and we beat them at the Super Bowl. Enough said. I don't have that. I got Namath wearing pantyhose and fur coats and trying to kiss sideline reporters at modern-day Super Bowls. I have nothing. I got Mark Gastineau. I got
Mark Sanchez, butt fumble.
Yeah.
You remember when Sanchez was the biggest deal? Because we have friends that are Jets fans. I'm not going to name drop, but we do have friends that are Jets fans, and they were so excited when they made it to the AFC Championships, and then Peyton Manning crushed your dreams.
Yeah. I said if they got to the playoffs, I was going to buy a Sanchez jersey, and I did. And I have
now you have a Sanchez jersey in your closet that I've seen, and it just sits there.
Just sits there.
But I did give you the throwback jersey that I found. The New York Titans.
Large.
Yeah, well.
Jersey.
You could frame it.
Yeah. I'm going to frame a jersey I've never worn.
I don't even know who the player is on the back.
Yeah, that is a well thought out gift.
Yeah.
Oh, I got this in my bag. You can have it.
You're a Jets fan, right?
I use this to wash my car.
God.
Come on. Yeah, good questions.
I'm sorry. I had to tell my Javon Walker story, and now we know he was beaten up and robbed. I would have known that.
Wiki.
Yeah, but I don't. I mean, never mind.
And it's spelled JVON.
JVON.
I think so. That's when I typed in and it found it, but Google will fix that spelling, so I didn't pay attention.
Do nice girls finish last? That depends. I think
it's a stupid question.
It's a stupid question because I don't want to answer it.
No, it's a stupid question. Did they start first? I don't know. What does that even mean? Did they finish last?
I don't know. It's a list of questions. They're not all going to be winners.
You could skip the bad ones.
Fine. What would win in a fight, a pirate or a ninja?
I say a pirate.
Where is the fight taking place?
The beach.
What time of day?
Right before sunrise. So it's kind of dark, but it's not completely light outside.
Pirate.
Why does pirate win?
Musket.
You don't think ninja took that into account though?
Ninjas could outrun bullets.
Well, the pirate would have to see him.
Sand. But the pirate's probably more comfortable moving around on sand.
Yeah. And you said it was on a beach, right?
On a beach.
Well, yeah, because I was trying to find a place where the land met the sea.
That's what I'm saying.
What about an island?
On an island?
Mm-hmm.
What time of day?
Same time of day.
Does the ninja have a blowgun with poison darts?
We're talking ninjas and pirates circa...
Blowguns are like
So then
ancient
yeah.
tribal
So
weapons.
then yeah, ninja has blowgun.
Then I would give it
Ninja
to
has
the
all
ninja.
the advantages a
I
ninja
would
would
give
have.
it to the ninja.
Okay.
Because he could hide in the shrubbery, and the
Shrubbery.
pirate would be looking for the rum, and he just hits him in the ass with the dart, and then goes in there with the katana strike or whatever the.
So
Do ninjas use katanas or?
Yeah.
They have. There's a name for their sword though. No.
Yeah, there is.
what, a ninja sword?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A katana.
Is it a katana? I thought.
Yeah.
I thought there was a.
I didn't want to be culturally
No,
insensitive. You son of a
but
bitch.
when they did that show,
Ultimate Ninja.
Ultimate Ninja Warrior.
No.
No.
Deadliest
Deadliest Warrior. I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
Deadliest Warrior. They tested the katana and they had like the three.
Yeah.
Oh, the other
The,
one.
they
What's
had.
the other
I
one
I
called?
have the name. So they had like 3 pig carcasses. It sliced through it like butter. But then they did Vlad the Impaler, and he had this sword. And I'm on a quest to find this sword at some point, or ended up making it. But it's called the Killage, and it's like this curved end sword, and
Like Craven Edge.
I guess sort of. And they went down on it, and it just went right through everything. So that's the number 1 sword in my opinion. Oh, we have a visitor.
Are you still?
Interrupting something? I'm sorry.
You are no interruption.
You're no
We're
interruption.
dropping our mixtape.
We're dropping our mixtape. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah. He's fine now.
He doesn't look fine. Look
He's
at
fine.
Look at his
You know
eyes.
what? I'm just gonna
He's
tell them the
probably
story about what happened.
Go ahead.
No, not you. The people.
Oh, are you talking? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So,
Once upon a time.
once upon a time, there was a boy, and he came over to my house, and there were some gummy bears. Now, this boy was only supposed to eat 1 gummy bear. However, the gummy
There
bears.
was only 1 gummy bear.
However, the 4 gummy bears that were in there had melted into 1. And before I had the chance to tell him, hey, only eat 1 gummy bear, he ate the whole thing. Which led to a...
Talking into a microphone.
Who's listening to it?
No one yet. Or ever.
Oh, you're just talking to talk?
Yeah.
It's called recording.
I didn't know that you guys did that. That's why I'm asking.
I don't...
He's
I-
not
I-
normally on the
I
show.
haven't done it.
You have a show. Oh, is this your Pim Toast thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just talking to Donna about this.
Oh, Donna.
Hello, Donna.
Don't name drop. People are going to find her.
Donna L.
Donna L.
Last night took an L, but tonight I bounced back.
So yeah, Isaiah was
Ooh,
adamant.
WWE reported interested in bringing back Caitlyn.
Who?
I don't know.
I know, I kind of remember.
What?
Sydney, is she coming home tonight?
She is home.
Where's Aunt Gail? Is she asleep?
Yeah, she's upstairs. What time? Look at the time.
I didn't see her car.
Look at the time.
I didn't see the
Look at the
car.
time.
I know, but
She's got Mary's car.
oh, I forgot about that.
Look at the time. It's 11:59.
You just name dropping left and right.
I'm not saying last name.
We're just gonna have to put chicken noises in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that better all be bleep.
Yeah. Fuck.
I can't have any of my stories traced back to me.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like the Halo story?
That's for another podcast, the Halo story. Okay.
Whose foot was that?
I assume it was Isaiah's.
That was your foot.
It was? No, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
I'm
It's a
not
ghost.
moving.
They're real.
Well, I moved and I hit a foot.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I just looked down and the foot that I was touching was
I
yours.
did not feel anything.
There's a huge blocking his foot from even coming near mine.
I don't know. I did not feel anything.
Okay.
So,
So he ate the 4 gummy bears that were fused into 1
yes.
that weren't just gummy bears.
They were special gummy bears. Oh man, that's what I'm gonna leave it at for legal reasons.
I think they call them edibles. That doesn't reveal anything. Everything's edible.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, right.
Because I don't already look like I should get pulled over by the cops.
You almost got pulled over at the school.
Yeah, that's right. When they thought your daughter was my daughter.
What?
He comes with us to open school night.
Yeah, I went with them
Because Gail promised them food when it was over. Because you know this house has no food in it ever.
Well, now it has so much eggplant. It's
Yeah.
not even funny.
So, long story short, Sydney's like, oh, let me go show you to my friends and ba 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 ba. So they just walk around the school.
Oh, Timmy.
So the teachers saw him with Sydney and thought that he was Sydney's father. So when the teachers are like, oh, who's your kid? And we were like, oh, Sydney. They're like, oh, but I thought, like, no, that's our nephew. They're like, oh, all right.
You see the resemblance? They're the same
How many
color.
chicken noises am I gonna have to put in this thing? Yeah, it's gonna be like brant, brant, brant.
It's just my name that you got to bleep.
Oh, okay.
So, explain to me what happens with this.
What happens with this?
Yeah, like
It's
what,
a show.
So
People listen to
where,
it
like, no, but where do they listen to it?
on YouTube.
That's why I didn't know it
Nowhere.
was on YouTube. That was my
Nowhere.
question. Nowhere.
Nowhere.
Well, you don't know shit about it.
I don't know shit about it. That's why I'm
That's the
asking.
point. That's our stage
Wow!
manager.
You know what? You were cool. We shared a womb, Timmy. We shared a womb.
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time. But we shared one.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's how you treat me.
It's deep stuff, man.
It could get deeper.
Doesn't need to.
We could.
I was gonna say something, but
I just wanted to do this whole analogy about, do you respect the people who move into an apartment? Like when you move into an apartment, do you respect the people who were in that apartment before you moved in?
If they left it in good condition, then yes.
Yeah.
and you
No,
didn't.
not really. You don't care about them.
You know what?
I mean, we
not
still
caring
get the
about it.
Yeah.
I'm not caring about it.
Like, oh, back in the day,
Fine, I'll just go
a
sleep.
family of Hasidic Jews lived in this house. So what? Like, as long as it's clean.
There's
Yeah.
the chicken noise.
Okay.
Well, because I said Hasidic Jews?
And reference them not being clean.
No, it has nothing.
Nobody said that. You're the only one who said that.
You said.
You,
You said.
as long as it's clean, I don't care. It doesn't matter who was in there. I never said anything. Oh my God.
That's
she's
staying in,
worse
by
than
the
Isaiah. Holy,
Oh my god.
holy misconstrue, Batman.
I thought you were making a joke about my Hasidic Jew story.
No, I'm not.
What?
No.
We don't want to hear your.
I'm not talking to you, Timmy.
You're talking to the whole.
They're talking to the whole 3,000 people that listen to this.
You know what? They don't know who I am.
Yes, they'll piece it together. It's not that
They
hard.
know you're an anti-Semite.
I am not. I misunderstood what you said.
Oh my god.
That's because you're prone to being anti-Semitic.
Whatever. It might also be.
What? You hate Jews? Like what? No. I hate idiots.
Idiots. Make sure you get close to the mic when you say that, because I can get misconstrued into other things. So I guess I don't even remember
What were you talking about?
what the hell were we talking about, and I can't go back and listen to it. That's mine.
You were talking about gummy bears.
I got a George Costanza wallet. Just leave me alone, okay? That's why you gotta look through my wallet.
They're selling at Bearded Dragon the Artifacts expansion.
Oh, okay.
So I may pick that up for you.
Nice. We definitely gotta play that.
One Night Ultimate Werewolf with artifacts.
Mm.
So you're gonna have to figure out how to include them. They're like cards where you're like, if you're a villager, you could have like a shotgun or something. Like they're different things that give you additional abilities. As if the game's not more complicated enough.
Yeah.
All right. I want to hear. I I don't know if you watched Dragon Ball. Did you?
I
ever watch...
watched an episode of Dragon Ball once
Mm-hmm.
where he spent the whole episode transforming.
Okay.
And I said, enough.
So this would be a good debate since you're a Dragon Ball.
Yeah, but I'm a fan, but like I can't argue that.
But no, not whether it's good or not. Like, I think you have enough support that Dragon Ball is a good show. I was never huge into it, but I did watch it when it was on because it was cool when I was a kid. But I mean, it's still kind of cool now, but just the fact they named them after vegetables is a little eh.
Everybody I talk to that watched the show loves it.
Yeah.
And they'll talk about it endlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that transformation sequence went on endlessly.
So, who wins? Because I don't know a lot about Goku, but Goku or Superman?
Superman. It's already been discussed.
Yeah.
They
Why?
already did a video on it. They showed it all. Somebody did an animated video.
Yeah, well,
I haven't seen
Superman
it.
versus Goku.
But how does Superman win?
He goes into the sun.
He goes into the sun and he becomes Superman Prime and he just fucking... Yeah, exactly.
Goku can't go into the sun, obviously.
Okay. What about Superman? If he can't go in the sun, does Goku win?
What about Spider-Man if he's only got 3 legs?
That's one more leg than he would have.
Well, that's what makes it more difficult.
So he's got advantage. He
Yeah.
can roll an extra
Have you ever tried to
D20.
walk with a 3rd leg? You don't know how.
I've never gotten the opportunity. I'm sorry.
Whose fault is that?
I don't know. So yeah, we talked about Ryu just getting his ass beat by Scorpion, so I can't even. What are like some fights that like are at like a stalemate in your opinion? Like, I know Green Lantern. Like again, like there's all these superheroes that I'm like.
You know nothing about, but you're gonna wax poetic about him.
Like Martian Manhunter seems like he'd be.
Martian Manhunter could be beaten with a book of matches.
Oh, so okay. Is that like
The Daxamites, who are basically the same power level as Superman.
Okay.
There was like a whole bunch of them. They were gonna take over Earth while Superman was in space. I think he exiled himself during this time. They were poisoned by lead.
Okay.
So any like lead that was in the atmosphere, which would technically poison us, hurt them. So the key here is, as I was saying earlier off mic, it's the writer's conceit, right? Like Batman and Superman were created in a sense that they're not supposed to lose, which is why they created like Nightwing, right? Nightwing is a trained Batman operative that loses frequently. Why? Well, you can't beat Batman. It's like the wrestling thing. You know what I mean? Like, Batman can't lose. He's like John Cena, right? Like that kind of thing, you know. Even though Cena lost to Roman. but Nightwing's like, oh, Nightwing's the guy that is just as good as Batman, but is there so that somebody could beat Batman. But since they can't beat Batman, they beat.
Nice.
So those fights are weird. It all comes down to writer's conceit. Like Batman v Superman, whether you liked it or not, like the whole base of that movie is like, well, they have to fight. Like, well, how do you get them to fight? Well, you get Batman so mad at Superman that he's just going to spend all his efforts in trying to kill him. All right. That's a faulty premise. Again, I don't hate the movie. I enjoy it for what it is. But you know, when Batman says things like, well, if there's a 1% chance Superman's going to go evil, we have to treat it like a certainty. Like, no, that's not how you... that's not how the world's greatest detective processes things. Yeah, you felt the costume well. You look cool as the Dark Knight.
Shut up.
But maybe, I don't know, you could find another reason to fight Superman. Or maybe you just don't fight Superman. You just have a conflict of philosophy, but you deal with another threat. You know what I mean? Like, because the whole conceit about Superman and Batman is one's light and works with law enforcement, right? And one's dark and doesn't. And then you have them both meet halfway, maybe, where Batman starts working with Commissioner Gordon because he's inspired by Superman. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that there's their disagreement should be more philosophical, not physical.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted a half an hour of punching, so Batman had to turn into a psychopath.
Well, I think there's also the notion that Jason Todd is no longer, so that would explain him being crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, look at some of the best animated stories that they did post Jason Todd, like Under the Red Hood. And the animation one was really good. Did you ever see the animated movie?
Yeah.
So there's that whole scene where Jason Todd is standing there, and he's got the Joker, and he's got this whole setup where he's got a gun to the Joker's head. And he's like, look, and he throws Batman a gun. He's like, you got one bullet. You either shoot the Joker or you shoot me to stop me from killing the Joker. And the whole bit about, why didn't you kill him? Why is he still alive? Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, I don't kill. Like, you know what? For everybody else, fine. But this guy, the guy who killed me, like that is a philosophical difference. Mm-hmm. But even after Jason died, yeah, Batman wanted to go after the Joker. So if you ever read Death in the Family, right? So the Joker kills Jason Todd. But he's like a Middle East ambassador. Like, so he comes back to the United States with like diplomatic immunity. Like, what Middle Eastern country would make the Joker an ambassador? But he comes back, and as he's like getting out of the limo, and Batman knows he's going to be there, Superman like lands right between him and the Joker, and Batman's about to like kill him or brutalize him, and Superman's like, I can't let you do this. Like, he's got diplomatic immunity. I can't, and it was like Superman was there to comfort Batman in his time of need. You know what I mean? Like, so the whole, Batman went nuts. I don't know.
So I think we have 7 minutes left. So,
only?
Well, I mean, we can run off an hour, but I like to keep it. Yeah.
What I would like you to do in those 7 minutes is ask one legit question.
Well, I wanted you to tell the Tom Hanks story.
All right, so I have the same guy at work who is trying to convince me that chipmunks have a language. We talk movies every once in a while. Like, hey, did you see this? And somehow Tom Hanks came up. And he goes, oh, I think Tom Hanks is garbage. I go, Tom Hanks is garbage? You just say Tom Hanks is garbage. Who thinks like, everybody loves Tom Hanks.
Pretty
I mean,
much.
just recently, Tom Hanks was walking through, like, Central Park or something, and this couple was taking wedding photos, and he walked up to them, and he put his arm around them, and he signed autographs saying, best luck on your wedding, and they have these wedding photos with Tom Hanks, with a professional photographer. Like, Chris Hardwick, Tom Hanks collects old school typewriters. Chris Hardwick sent him an old school typewriter. And Tom Hanks wrote this like nasty, and I, quotes, nasty letter to Chris Hardwick. If you think I'm going to type you, a personal letter using the typewriter you sent me, you have another thing coming, like, like this whole, but he typed the letter using the typewriter. You know what I mean? Like he's a funny guy. He's garbage. So his whole argument is that all the comedies up to a certain, maybe Turner and Hooch, that's where he should have stayed. That's where he should have stayed. And all the things past that, all the dramas, I go, oh, you mean the movies that he won Oscars for? Like Philadelphia? Like I forgot what he won the second Oscar for. Was it Castaway? Or
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump he shouldn't have done. Like, no, he should. I go, well, it's like, yeah, but those movies are garbage. Like,
what?
Just say Tom Hanks is garbage.
How do you say Forrest Gump is garbage?
It's just, yeah, did he make some bad movies? Sure.
Tom Hanks is garbage.
But how is Tom Hanks garbage? So we argue about it all day. So he has an office, and I have a cubicle right outside his office
Mhm.
because he's a director, and I'm just a grunt. And the offices have these big, like, windows, and he has his office door open all the time. So people go in his office and sit down and talk to him, and I would be behind the person, and he'd look at them and he'd say, "What do you think of Tom Hanks?" Or he'd ask them, "Who's your favorite actor?" And someone would say, "Oh, Jack Nicholson." And I was like, "Oh, Jack Nicholson's good. What do you think of Tom Hanks?" "Oh, he's good." And I'd be behind him like, yeah. And then some person went in there and he asked that question. He's like, "Who's your favorite actor?" And she goes, "Julia Roberts." Who's your favorite male actor? "Oh, Tom Hanks." Yes. So it's an interesting conversation when I talk to him because we actually talk about doing our own like YouTube. We always talk about the joke about we should do a YouTube video because like some people make like 6 figures doing YouTube or more. Yeah. So we always joke about, oh, this could be a YouTube video. But the long and the short of it is, you know, he's just constantly trying to convince me that Tom Hanks sucks. And I tell him there's a preponderance of evidence
that proves that Tom Hanks does not
to the
suck.
contrary.
Yeah.
Even Tom Hanks was good in Cloud Atlas, which wasn't even a good movie. So.
Yeah.
I especially like the Da Vinci Code because he gives the Vatican an old strew.
So it comes full circle.
Yes.
Just start off with religion and go Tom Hanks.
Actually, I think we started with the flag.
Oh yeah, we did, and that led into
religion,
which
and
led into
Batman.
And Batman.
I think Batman could take the Pope.
Pope wins every time, dude.
You know what's sad is that the amount of Catholics who denounce this Pope because he's too liberal. I just enjoy that greatly.
That makes sense.
Oh my god.
Gay marriage? It's fine, the Pope says. He's not really Catholic. I think he's the most Catholic since he's the goddamn Pope. Like, isn't that the whole thing about, like, the Pope is God on earth? Like, his dogma is absolute. It was the whole plot of Dogma. Right?
Yeah. That was a good movie. What was that other movie?
There's a lot of them.
No, I don't know if you've seen it where, like,
The Pope?
No, it wasn't the Pope.
Kevin Smith?
Kevin Smith made it, but it wasn't
Red
Dogma.
State?
Red State, yeah.
See? How good am I?
Yeah, where, like...
That was about the Westboro Baptist.
That was a good movie. I watched that at like 5:30 in the morning for some reason one time.
That's a heavy movie, man.
I know, and it was like 6:30 in the morning when I finished it. It was in the middle of summer, my junior year of high school, and I was like, I think we're gonna go to bed now, cause like you know how it ends, and I was just like, huh, all right. Watch Red State. It's a good movie. We're not sponsored by Red State, by the way.
Not sponsored by anybody.
Not yet.
The only one who's sponsoring you right now is me.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like there's like Wayne's World. Remember when they had to bring in the guy who the commercial guy is like, oh, we got a new video game.
Oh, yeah. That's that dude.
Wayne's World. Oh, and that goes back to the SNL thing, but I think that's like a whole conversation.
The SNL. I'm very angry at myself. Well, the question was, pick your top 10
SNL cast.
And I picked Eddie Murphy first, so I got the diversity card in there going. But then by the time I got to the end of the list, I hadn't picked any women, and I felt kind of bad about that.
But then you threw Leslie Jones in there, so you're fine.
No, you threw Leslie Jones in there.
I said I would put Leslie Jones in mine.
I mentioned Sherry O'Terry because her and Will Ferrell made a good team.
Yeah. But then you got Tina Fey, too.
You know what? Tina Fey would have to be, like, you know what? In retrospect, Tina Fey would have to be number 2 on the list.
Okay.
Tina Fey and Leslie Knope.
And Amy Poehler?
Amy Poehler.
Yeah.
Because I loved Amy Poehler on Upright Citizens Brigade.
Okay.
That was a show.
Yeah.
Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Bill Murray.
You're not going to throw Farley in there?
like.
You don't like Chris Farley.
I don't dislike him.
You yell at the man who doesn't like Tom Hanks, but you denounce Chris Farley.
No. I'm not denouncing him. I like Chris Farley.
Uh-huh.
I see him as a one-trick pony.
Mm.
You know, fat and loud.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean...
Down by the river. We get it. You're down by the river.
You could put
Mike Myers.
Will Ferrell in there.
Will Ferrell I'd put in there. Will Ferrell's creative.
The cheerleader skit puts him in my top 10.
Well, see me, I'm focusing more on, like...
Afterwards.
The fact that he just... Like, some of the stories you hear about him where he's in character and he won't break.
Mm.
And, like, Tracy Morgan and Jim Brewer are trying to get him to break, but he won't break.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, when you look at the movies he's made, even, like, stupid ones, like Anchorman or what's that other one?
Ricky Bobby, the Talladega Nights.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, come on, that's classic.
That's a great movie.
That's classic.
And like John C. Reilly just being, you know what? It was an underrated performance. John C. Reilly as Dr. Steve Burke in the Tim and Eric show.
I don't watch that.
All right. Well, if you do, it's really
I've
like
seen pictures.
But him as Dr. Steve, I said Burke, Steve Brole. Sorry, I haven't watched it in a while. But just it was the highlight of that show where it was just like when he came on and he's like, "Oh, you want to make me pretty?" And then like it was like a machine to rate if he was ugly or not. That's a good scene.
My thing with John C. Reilly was when I think it was an Oscars performance where there was two comedic actors that were coming out, and they were trying to go into serious roles.
Uh-huh.
And John C. Reilly was like, "Here, I'll help you," because he had done things like Gangs of New York and other serious roles. But he also did all the comedies, so he was on both sides of the aisle. So he's gonna transition like I don't know if it was like Ben Stiller and Will Ferrell or you know, like two comedians that were gonna be there. He's like, I'll help you get into serious roles. Like it's not that hard. Like,
Ben Stiller wasn't on SNL, right?
He had his own show, the Ben Stiller show. And Janine Garofalo was on it. Yeah, she. You know how I was saying earlier, and this is before we were on mic, that there's idiots on the left and the right, like equal portions.
Yeah.
Yeah, she falls on the left side of things. Actually, she's not an idiot. She's just very adamant about her opinions. That
she's strong-willed. She's strong-willed.
Yeah, she's just strong-willed.
Yeah, and I think that was the reason for this whole thing was because like when I go on Facebook and stuff, it's like you're either extremely left or you're extremely right.
You don't understand. So let me give my little education here. Yeah. So Facebook's revenue-driven process is to get you to check it frequently and to click on links within it. So they realize that you have a higher chance of doing it if it presents you with stuff that you're 100% agreeing with and
disagreeing with
100% disagreeing with. So they kind of monitor your viewing behavior and they throw in front of you the things that they know you're going to react to. Like, you know, the stuff that set Isaiah off on the other day.
Yeah, that video.
But it's started that way, and that's why when they say, like, the Russian hacking thing, they're like, oh, they're not hacking the machines. No, but they're using, like, Facebook algorithms to put these stories in front of you to force your opinion down a channel. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, look, you know, like all this flag nonsense. Like, those stories just keep getting pushed out because it's going to rile people up.
And, like, Puerto Rico is, like, underwater.
No, what I'm saying is, like, it's like Facebook is motivated to churn out hatred and anger by putting those stories in front of you because you're going to click on it and go, oh, my God, look at this. And then you're going to comment and you're going to share it and you're going to whatever. But it's trying to get your time on their site more and more and more. So it's studying your pattern so that it knows, all right, this is going to set you off and this is going to set you off. and then it pops that into their algorithm, and then it puts it in front of you. And then,
It's the same reason why you're on Instagram and you see an ad for something you were looking at on Amazon.
well, the worst part is when I see an ad for something on Amazon
Uh-huh.
that I had just purchased.
Mm.
Oh, you buying a barbecue? Here's other barbecues. Like, no, I made a purchase through Amazon for a barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
Stop showing me barbecues. I don't want to see a cheaper barbecue. I bought one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to know any exist because I'm committed to this purchase.
Right.
Oh my god. Oh yeah. I guess now that's like a closer. I guess
Yeah,
we can
that's
finish
fine.
it. Yeah, because we
Talk about barbecues.
We talked about barbecues, and you know what? You can hang your flag, and you can choose whether to kneel or to take a shit on it. Who cares? Don't shit on the flag. I mean, do you? But like, you're just gonna make it harder for the rest of us.
Basically.
Yeah. We're gonna have to hear about it. So like,
Flags don't make good toilet paper.
yeah, get yourself some nice Charmin.
Charmin Ultra.
Some Charmin Ultra. That's a whole nother conversation.
Scott's single ply.
Uh-huh.
You get like 8,000 sheets to a roll, and it lasts forever. And if you want it double ply, you just grab more. You control your ply quotient.
And sponsored by Scott's.
Oh no, she buys the quilted stuff,
Yeah.
and it's like 4 sheets to a roll. You're like, need a roll.
Well, maybe we'll talk about that next time. No, we're gonna get comments. Talk about the toilet paper. It's a real issue. Talk about whether it's supposed to be over or under.
Under.
Under?
Under.
I don't care. I'm not really paying attention when I do that.
This way it gets less pee splatter on it on that first sheet.
Gotcha. All right. Bye.
I might be back next time.
Yeah.